The Nintendo Switch has some of the best-selling games of all time, and most of the games are the best-selling in their series. Hey Nintendo fans and collectors, Lithium here from my channel Nintendo Collecting. Nintendo just very recently released a report of all their sales for their games and their consoles. What also was really interesting is they announced that the Nintendo Switch is about to hit 62 million copies sold worldwide. If that's the case, Reggie Fils-Aimé made a really good point on Twitter. He said because the sales figures Nintendo announced ended at June 30th, because of July and August, hopefully the Switch just passed the Super Nintendo and is the second best-selling home console that Nintendo's ever made. Of course, it would still be behind the Nintendo Wii for home consoles because this guy sold almost 102 million copies. So that is remarkable. The DS sold more than both. The DS was over 150 million copies. So let's get to the top 10 best-selling games on the Nintendo Switch right now. Now I'm going to start with some honorable mentions. Nintendo didn't release the sale figures for all their games, just for the top 10 right now, but I know that Luigi's Mansion 3 is really close to getting into the top 10, so it gets an honorable mention. We also have Super Mario Maker 2, incredibly close to getting into the top 10, and The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Interestingly, Ring Fit Adventure sold 4 million copies, and it probably would have been many, many more if Nintendo could get that game out and produce it. And they said they're now finally back on track with producing Ring Fit Adventure. Alright, let's get to the top 10 selling games of all time on the Nintendo Switch so far. So at number 10, this one is a remake slash remaster at 7.44 million copies. This is New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. This is a remake of the game that was out on the Nintendo Wii U. This was released for the Switch on January 11th, 2019. It has an 80 on Metacritic, so just barely an A grade. And I enjoy this game. It has Nabbit, which makes the game a little bit easier for anyone to play if they're younger. It also has a lot of the levels included from Super Luigi U, if I'm not mistaken. The original game was on the Wii U that you see right here. This one sold 5.8 million copies on the Wii U. So on the Switch, it sold 7.44, and on the Wii U, it sold 5.80. So in total, this would be 13.24 million copies sold, and it would move up a little bit on the list. I think a lot of people are getting a little bit tired of the formula for the new Super Mario Bros. Games. Mario Maker kind of replaces that niche really well. If you were wondering, the two really successful new Super Mario Bros. Games sold over 30 million copies each. The one on the Wii sold 30.3 million, and the one on the DS sold 30.8 million. Super Mario Bros. 2, New Super Mario Bros. 2, didn't sell as well as these two. So obviously these were on consoles that sold over 100 million console hardware units. So I'm wondering if this one can continue and go up and up. I don't see it hitting 30 million though. You can let me know as a comment below if you ever see New Super Mario Bros. U hitting 30 million. At number 9, 10.71 million copies sold. This one surprised me. This is Splatoon 2. This is one of my wife's favorite games. It was released July 21st, 2017. It has an 83 on Metacritic. I love using the rollers, and my wife always uses the splatter shot. She's probably better than me at this game, but I know this game is still having Splatfests, which are great. It's huge in Japan, and it really took off. So the best way to buy this game, if you can find it, is a starter pack, it's called. This is the bonus strategy guide edition. It doesn't really have a proper name, so I think it's called a starter pack. Maybe there's a better name for it. If you know, let me know. So this one comes with a strategy guide. The strategy guide is essentially a softcover book that's like the most thorough instruction manual I have ever seen. These are harder to find. I don't think they're in stores anymore. Maybe you can find them. If you can, that's definitely the version that I would recommend that you pick up. Also, there's a controller for Splatoon 2. This has the neon green, neon pink, really cool design. You can see the controller right there, and it also has splatters all over the controller that you can see. So this did not come in a bundle with the game, but if you're really interested in Splatoon and you want a really neat variation of the Pro Controller, again, really hard to find those. They're not in stores. If you're wondering what the sales were like for Splatoon, the original, on the Wii U, it sold 4.95 million. So when you compare 4.95 million to 10.71 million, Splatoon 2 has already sold double what the original sold. That kind of makes sense because the Wii U didn't sell very well. It only sold like 13 million units, and the Switch sold 62 at this point. So Splatoon 2 doubling Splatoon 1, that's excellent to see. I really hope at some point they keep the Splatoon series going and we get Splatoon 3. At number 8, we have Super Mario Party. This feels like a return to form for the Mario Party series. This was released October 5th, 2018. It has a 76 on Metacritic. You finally move around the map individually again. After Mario Party 9 and 10, you were in a cart moving around together. The maps in this one are a little bit small for me, and if you get a lot of allies, they're characters that join your dice rolls, so you can roll farther or move farther around the map. I think they really make the game a lot easier to win if you pick up a lot of allies, which is of course luck, but that's what Mario Party is. I cannot believe there's no DLC for this, and I can't believe we only have 4 maps in this game, but with 10.94 million copies, this is the best-selling Mario Party game of all time. The best way to buy this, if you can find it, is in a bundle that comes with a neon green and neon yellow Joy-Con. This might be a different variation worldwide depending on your region, so if your region has a different Mario Party bundle, let me know as a comment below. So that's probably the best way to get this. Just to kind of compare this Mario Party to the previous Mario Parties, Mario Party DS was really close to hitting 10 million. It sold 9.31 million copies. So that's the only one. Super Mario Party on the Switch is the only one to sell over 10 million. If you're wondering about the Wii games, like Mario Party 8 was really, really popular, it sold 8.85 million copies. And Mario Party 9 sold much, much worse. Then we have Mario Party 10, if you're wondering, on the Wii U. Not my favorite Mario Party, although some of the mini games are fun. Badminton is in this, which is just hilarious to me that that's actually in a Mario Party game. So this one didn't sell well at all. 2.23 million. So Super Mario Party sold over 4 times what the Wii U Mario Party did. Actually, if you really want to compare, Super Mario Party sold more if you combine Mario Party 1, Mario Party 2, Mario Party 3, Mario Party 4, and the sales of Mario Party 5. If you combine all 5 games, Super Mario Party sold more than all 5 of these put together. That's insane to me. So Super Mario Party, selling really well on the console, but we'll see if they can give us DLC for this or something. Let me know if you would buy DLC for this. I want larger maps and just the original classic gameplay without allies. I think that would be the best way for me to experience Mario Party. Number 7, at 12.20 million copies, we have the remakes for Pokemon, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. These were released on November 16th, 2018. They have just below an 80 on Metacritic. They're sitting at 79. My wife is actually replaying Let's Go Eevee right now. She played it when they came out originally, as did I. These games are the remakes of Pokemon Yellow, Blue, and Red, I would say. But you can finally see the Pokemon in the field and the graphics are updated. If anyone's trying to get into the Pokemon series, I highly recommend you pick up these for them first. I think it's a great entry point or starting point. There is a better variation than buying just those copies that comes with the Pokeball. I don't have those bigger boxed versions yet. They're selling for like over $100, so I need to get those at some point, but those are the ones that I would probably recommend. This is a controller, a Pokeball controller that you can use even when you're on the go, which is quite interesting. Now let's compare these Pokemon games, Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, to previous remakes in the Pokemon series. To go back one generation of remakes, we go back to Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. These ones sold 14.27 million copies. So again, Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu, they always combine them, is at 12.2, but these are at 14.27, so I think the Pokemon games on the Switch are going to pass these pretty soon, probably within the next year or so. To go back even one more generation farther, we have Pokemon Heart Gold and Pokemon Soul Silver. These ones sold 12.72. So, 12.2 for the Switch games, 12.72, getting really close to the remakes on the DS. And again, the DS sold over 150 million units. I think 154 million units. By the way, if you're interested in what makes these games complete and a pricing guide, and you want to check out the Pokewalker things, then please watch the video that's in the top right-hand corner right now. It is a card up there if you're interested. Number 6 is Super Mario Odyssey with 18.06 million units sold. This is one of my favorite games on the system. I'm really happy to see Mario return to form of the same way for 3D games as Super Mario Sunshine and Super Mario 64. This game was released October 27th, 2017. It has a 97% on Metacritic, making it the highest game, actually tied for the highest game in terms of ranking on this list from Metacritic. Now, this game, the best way to buy it, again, is with this starter guide. This is the Traveler's Guide, is what you could search for. So again, I don't think that these are in store anymore. This is really similar to the Splatoon 2, so that it comes with a book. This is a soft cover book, and again, this is like the best instruction manual you could ever get, with detailed art in color. If you can find them, I highly recommend you get this variation. What great artwork. I love the way that looks. So you can get that. So let's compare Super Mario Odyssey to some previous games in the series. To compare it to Super Mario 64, because Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine are the most similar to it, Super Mario 64 sold somewhere around 11 million copies. What I have down is 11.91 million copies. That might be including the remakes on the Nintendo DS. I could not find more information about that because that number seems a little bit high, but Super Mario Odyssey is outselling Super Mario 64. Also, Super Mario Sunshine, this number is accurate. This is 6.28 million. That means if you combine Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine, you combine all the sales together, 11.91 plus 6.28, I believe that's 18.19 million. That means Super Mario Odyssey is just slightly behind the sales of both of these games combined. Other games in the series, just to kind of compare it to, Super Mario 3D World, this game really has to be remade on the Switch. This game sold 5.84 million, so not even a third of what Super Mario Odyssey sold. Super Mario 3D Land, this one sold 12.70. So that means, again, both of these combined, Super Mario Odyssey is getting really close to passing both of those combined. Super Mario Galaxy, if you're wondering, because it's on the Wii, and the Wii sold so many copies, this is 12.8. So this has another 50% more sales than Super Mario Galaxy. And what's really interesting, Super Mario Odyssey just became the 6th best-selling main series, or Mario game, I guess, of all time. It just passed Super Mario Bros. 3 in sales. Just passed it for 6th all time. Now Super Mario Bros. 3 is 7th. That's crazy. Love the Super Mario Bros. Games. That's probably one of my favorite series of all time, if not my favorite series of all time. Halfway through the list, at number 5, we have at 18.22 million copies, Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. These games just recently got DLC. The large, open, expansive world in Isle of Armor, I really like that open concept, the open world concept in the games, and catching all the Pokemon. Jordan, my buddy, is completely immersed in this game once again. These games were released on November 15th, 2019. They have an 80 on Metacritic. I thought they should have got maybe a little bit higher than 80. They're highly addictive, and they're really well made, honestly, on the Switch. I was a little bit scared, especially when the home console and handheld console combined into be the Switch, but I was really excited to be able to play Pokemon games on the one main system. Now, the best way to buy Pokemon Sword and Shield, you guys let me know about this variation. This one is the Steelbook copy that you highly recommended last video that I need to pick up. So this gets both games, you get some codes for crystals, but you also get, in this bigger box variation, a steelbook. So I have the steelbook here now, finally. One side and the other side. Inside is the map of the region, and that's the exact same. But you can put both cartridges in this steelbook edition. So that's really cool. That's the edition that I would recommend you pick up. Now, in terms of Pokemon games, Sword and Shield has quickly become the 3rd best generation selling Pokemon games of all time. It is still, of course, behind the original Generation 1 for Pokemon Blue, Red, and Yellow, so that's the best selling game of all time in the Pokemon series, or games. And its 2nd place is Generation 2, Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal. So these are the top 2, and now Pokemon Sword and Shield is 3rd, like I said, with 18.22 million copies. If you're wondering, comparing it to other Pokemon games from the past that are really close to it, Sword and Shield just very recently surpassed Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. So these ones sold around 17.67, just past them, 18.22. And then the X and Y, so X and Y from the 3DS, these ones sold 16.45 million copies. And Pokemon Sun and Moon, these ones sold around 16.18 million copies. So, Sword and Shield doing really, really well. I think sales will continue really well for that game. I think it's only really been out for not even a year yet. If it released November 15th in 2019, these haven't even hit a year, and they're already at 18.22 million copies. So, by the time the Switch lifecycle is over, these could be the best-selling Pokemon games of all time. Number 4 is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild at 18.60 million copies sold. This was released March 3rd, 2017 with the launch of the Switch. It has a 97% on Metacritic. This is the top score from Metacritic along with Super Mario Odyssey. It's the tied top score. This is a top 3 Zelda game for me, and it's not even perfect. It's the fact that it has a giant immersive world with great physics. I like the fact that there are so many shrines everywhere, but I really miss the traditional dungeons, and I felt like the bosses were kind of just more plain. I kind of want them to go back to the bigger, more inspired bosses, rather than the mishmash of boss that they kind of had this time around. I didn't enjoy those as much, but this is honestly, with all those problems, this is the game that I've sunk the most hours to probably in my entire life. I would highly recommend it. The best way to get this game that's probably reasonable is the bonus Explorer's Guide plus map. So again, like a starter guide. This is called the Explorer's Edition. It has Explorer's Edition right down there. This variation comes with a map, which is pretty cool. You can undo this map. It is double-sided, which is great. So we have the Great Plateau on one side, and then the entire map on the other side without any locations for anything, so no big spoilers there. And it comes with the Explorer's Guide. So again, softcover book, in color, really, really detailed. Now, I say to try and get this variation if you can, but there is 2 other variations for Breath of the Wild that you can get on the Nintendo Switch. One of them is a limited edition, and the other one is this gargantuan Master Edition. So this, right here, comes with a statue and a case, and some other really cool things like a coin and a soundtrack, but it costs way too much money now. You can see the sword right back here, which I originally thought was blood, dried up blood, but I think it's actually rust on the sword. So I do have an unboxing video of that if you're interested, but it sells for over $300, $400. I can't remember, I haven't looked it up recently. The game for the Breath of the Wild also came out on the Wii U. It was the same as Twilight Princess. It came out on 2 consoles. On the Wii U, this one only sold 1.61 million copies. So if you wanted to combine the 18.60 plus the 1.61, the total is around 20.21 million. This would have moved this up 1 spot on the list. If you're going to buy any copy, though, obviously I recommend the Switch variation, but it might be more difficult to find this. It didn't sell very well, right? So like this is probably the bigger collector's item in terms of just the case and the game. If you want to compare, and I do, to previous games in the series, Skyward Sword did not sell that well. This is the previous home console Zelda game. This one only sold 3.67 million. And when I say didn't sell well, it still sold 3.67 million copies. But just nowhere near what Breath of the Wild has sold. Over 20 million if you combine the 2 different consoles together. Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess is 8.85 if you combine the Wii and the GameCube. 8.85 million. So Breath of the Wild is 2.5 times that. Wind Waker, 4.43 million on the GameCube. Now, I don't think that does not include all the other remakes for Wind Waker on the Wii U or anything like that. Majora's Mask, without the remakes, just on the N64, this one sold 3.36 million. So then, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering about Ocarina of Time. 7.6 million. 7.6 million for Ocarina of Time. Probably most people consider this the best Zelda game of all time, probably myself included. If you combine Ocarina of Time with Majora's Mask with Wind Waker, essentially you are still not at what the sales are for the Breath of the Wild. All 3 of these games combined, we still don't get to Breath of the Wild. Ridiculously good selling game. However, 97 for a reason. If you haven't played this yet, go out and try it. One of the best ever. You'll be blown away, especially the fact that they took off a lot of the training wheels. This game's actually a little bit difficult. Master mode, if you get the DLC, is fantastic and really difficult. And also, you can cook almost anything together. You can wear a lot of different outfits, and you're not required to just wear the green tunic. So they kind of just question a lot of the Zelda formula. Podium time, we're into the top 3. At number 3, with 19.99 million copies sold, we have Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. This released December 7th, 2018. It has a 93% on Metacritic. Everyone is back from the entire Super Smash Bros. Franchise. If they've been in the game before, they're back in this game on the Nintendo Switch. Sakurai's really outdoing himself, and I think that 93 on Metacritic is probably a little bit low, especially with all the DLC characters coming out and all the tweaks they're making to the game and all the quality of life improvements that we might get. Actually, in this game, we just got Simple Battlefield or Basic Battlefield. I'll talk about that more in a moment, but that's pretty exciting for a free patch for the game. Now, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is probably over 20 million copies now because it's been a while since June 30th, and the best way to buy this game, if you can find it, is the Special Edition, which comes with a Pro Controller and a Steelbook included. Now, the Pro Controller does come with its box, so I liked that. On the back of the box, there's a sticker that says that this comes in the bundle, and the controller itself, if you're a fan of black and white designs here as the controller with the Smash Bros. Logo on it, it's really elegant, it's really clean and simple. I like this one a lot, but the steelbook it comes with is really lacking. We have the Smash logo on fire on the front, nothing but plain black on the back and on the spine, which drives me nuts. I would love to have the actual name on the side. If you open this up, we see Battlefield. So the Simple Battlefield that was out as DLC, instead of having 3 platforms, it only has 2 platforms, and I feel like the stage is a little bit smaller, but I'm not sure otherwise if it is. So comment below what your feelings are on the DLC for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, the free patch with Battlefield, and you can also play any music from the series now, and you can randomize what Battlefield will appear. To compare, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at almost 20 million units sold. This is the best Super Smash Bros. Game of all time. It's number 1 in the series. So let's go back. On the Wii U, the game kind of was split between the Wii U and the 3DS for Smash 4. On the Wii U, it sold 5.37 million copies. On the 3DS, it sold 9.59. So you total these together, and it's at 14.96 million if you talk about both of these as one game. Not quite even close. 75% of what the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate sold. Going back one more generation to Brawl on the Wii. This one sold 13.32 million units. Going back to Melee, or Melee, on the GameCube, we have 7.41. And then going back to the original on the Nintendo 64, that sold 5.55 million copies. Essentially, it looks like every single generation of Super Smash Bros. Has sold a little bit better, and a little bit better, and a little bit better every single time. From 5.55 on the N64 to 7.41 to 13.32 to 14.96, and now at 19.99 million copies for Super Smash Bros. And there's no doubt that this is the best game in the series. I can't even really make an argument for any of the others. There's a huge community for the other Super Smash Bros. Games, but honestly, this is the best game. I really wonder what the DLC characters will be. Comment below, who do you want still in Smash Bros.? Additionally, though, I can't wait for Banjo-Kazooie to get that amiibo. That's going to be really cool. I can't wait to add that to my collection. With the silver medal, second place with 22.40 million copies is this year's Animal Crossing New Horizons. This game took the world by storm. It was the most popular game talked about on Twitter this year. The DLC update or free patch has you swimming. My sister, my older sister, I have 2 sisters, she is not a gamer whatsoever, but she even asked, how do I play Animal Crossing? What do I have to do to get my hands on this game and to enjoy it? My wife played so much of it, she doesn't quite want to get back into it because she knows she's going to be consumed for 4 to 5 hours a day. This game is immersive, and it's just what we needed in 2020. So this game released on March 20th of this year in 2020. It only has a 90 on Metacritic, but there's all the DLC and patches coming out, so that might go up over time. There's definitely some quality of life updates that we need. If you can think of any, by the way, let me know down below. Alright, let's compare this to the previous games, every previous game in the series for Animal Crossing, because guess what? This is the #1 game in the Animal Crossing series as well. To go back one generation, you have New Leaf on the 3DS, so a handheld game. This one sold 12.55 million. So New Horizons hasn't quite doubled this, but it hasn't even been out for a year. After this is out for a year, it will probably have doubled New Leaf. Going back to the Wii, I'm not sure which one came first, the DS variation or the Wii variation. I think the Wii one was released in 2008. So this is City Folk. This one only sold 3.38 million copies. I'm not even talking about Amiibo Festival, by the way, or Happy Home Designer. Those are like spin-off games that I'm just not considering part of the main series. So this one sold 3.38 million copies. Going back a few more years, I think to 2005, this is Wild World on the DS. This one sold pretty well, 11.75 million copies, but it was on the DS, which sold an astronomical amount of units. So that's interesting. The original game from the GameCube, this is actually a port of the N64 game from Japan, because Animal Crossing started on the N64 in Japan, as I said. This one only sold 2.32 million copies. If you're going to get the GameCube variation, try and get the one that includes the memory card, just because it's kind of cool to have a memory card that's themed for the game, which is wicked. So that one sold 2.32. By the way, I saw this online on Twitter. The Animal Crossing New Horizons game has sold more than the Metroid games. Than all of the Metroid games combined. All of them put together. That's ridiculous. Only being out since March, and this sold more than the entire Metroid franchise, it definitely deserves to be in second place. The gold medal, #1 best-selling Nintendo Switch game as of right now is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This one sold 26.74 million copies. It was released April 28th, 2017, and it has a 92% on Metacritic. I would love to see more DLC for this game. We have everything that was out on the Wii U game, plus the DLC from the Wii U, in this copy. You also have the 200cc engine class, which makes you going so much faster in online play, with the most courses and remade courses, with the most characters ever in a Mario Kart. This is my favorite way of playing Mario Kart, even though I have heavy nostalgia goggles for Double Dash and Mario Kart 64 and Mario Kart 7, actually so many of them. Now, this game, of course, was originally released on the Wii U. So the Wii U sold 8.54 million copies, which is really impressive because the Wii U only sold 13 million hardware sales. So that's a really good percentage of the Wii U owners picked up this game. Now, if you combine Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with the original Mario Kart 8, you get 35.28 million. You get really close to the best-selling Mario Kart game of all time. Even though this is the best Switch game selling all time, it's not the best Mario Kart game of all time in terms of sales. So what is #1? Well, it's Mario Kart Wii. This game took the world by storm. On the console, the Wii that took the world by storm, it had motion controls, but I honestly put this high up on my list of Mario Kart games, probably just because I enjoyed playing so much with friends, but I don't consider this personally my top Mario Kart game. I do think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is better than Mario Kart Wii, but I really enjoyed this game as well. So taking a step down after Mario Kart Wii in terms of sales, we're going to go in sales order, was Mario Kart DS. This sold 23.60 million copies, and Mario Kart Wii sold 37.20. So top three, you got Mario Kart Wii, you got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, then you have Mario Kart DS. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, by the way, is probably going to pass Mario Kart Wii in the next year or two. After Mario Kart DS, we have Mario Kart 7. Another one of my favorites. This one sold 18.26 million. This one had the first time that you could play as a glider. You could glide in the game, I believe. I'm pretty sure. After that, we have Mario Kart 64. This one has 9.87 million units sold, just less than 10 million. I wonder if those sales include any of the downloadable games when WiiWare existed, and you could buy this game on the WiiWare on the Nintendo Wii. I really missed that, by the way. Great game, such good battle modes. I like Block Fort so much when playing that game. After Mario Kart 64, we have Super Mario Kart. This one sold 8.76 million units in sales. This is the first game in the series. 2-player split-screen mode. Really, really fun, and I love the fact that Mario plus go-karts equals an incredible thing. Another one of my favorites, and my wife's favorite for sure, this is Mario Kart Double Dash. This one sold around 6.88 million units. This is the only game where you have 2 characters in one cart, and I hope they bring that back at some point. It was a really cool, interesting design game. Because you had to have 2 people in your cart, it would also change the special items that you got and change the size of the cart or the weight of the cart that you were getting. Love Double Dash and the battle mode in that. Even the GameCube stage is really fun, where you just have no walls and just throw bombs at each other all day. And the quote-unquote worst-selling Mario Kart game, but it's still really good, is Mario Kart Super Circuit. This one sold 5.91 million copies. So, I'm really surprised that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is not the best-selling Mario Kart game quite yet, but it's the best-selling Nintendo Switch game that is out there. The Switch has some of the best games of all time. I cannot believe how many great games are on the Nintendo Switch. I'm really enjoying myself playing on this console, and who knows what the most years, or a few more years, will bring with the system. I also don't know how long Nintendo is going to keep the Switch's life cycle, especially when they're losing some money on the Joy-Con drift. People are sending them in, which you can do again now, and getting them fixed. So I wonder, what do you guys think will be the best-selling Nintendo Switch game? Will it be one of these that's out already, or do you think it's going to be a game that hasn't even been released yet that we're still waiting for? Animal Crossing, going crazy, selling more than the entire Metroid series combined. That's probably the best fact that I got while making this video. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, the face reveal is coming sometime soon. I'm just waiting for that silver play button to come in the mail, and then I'm going to get to that video and the face reveal and celebrate 100,000 subscribers with you guys. Feel free to fill that like bucket by clicking the like button below. Stay safe, everyone. Go collect them all. Keep smiling while gaming. Thanks for watching.